And a lot of times we don't talk about how women date their sons. And single mothers oftentimes do everything but their sons.
Are they talking about
And that's the
Daniel?
reason why I say, you know, a single mother is a boy factory. And the reason why I say that is because it's not that a boy can't be birthed from a two-parent home, although it is, you know, it's an abnormality, you know, it's an anomaly of sorts that you would encounter a significant amount of subpar men that have been raised in instructive two-parent homes. But single women become so emotionally dependent upon their children, specifically their sons, that they will convince themselves that they don't need a man until they encounter the space from being alone to genuinely being lonely. And now we're having to deal with the imbalance that was set in the household because this boy is not your son, he is your man. When you want to cuddle, you go lay down with them. When you want some.
Jeez.
The makings of a son husband.
This is 100% talking about Jaden Daniels. Holy crap.
I'm still, the jury's still out on that one, but I know a lot of men.
Oh, word? Okay. Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm not all the way sold on that situation, but what I do know is this. So imagine that you're a young man, right? And you have a mother who is putting husband obligations on you because she couldn't find one. She chose wrong too many times. So she starts putting the oldest son in that position. Hey, watch your siblings while I go to work. Hey, keep this house clean. Cook dinner for your siblings. She's basically giving you all the obligations that come with being a husband, but none of the benefits, right? You don't get the praises. You ain't clapping no cheeks. Because it's your mom, obviously.
Ew.
And she essentially using you for emotional support. So what happens with these young men, typically as they get older, they associate being with a woman / marriage as a bad thing because all they see is the obligations. They don't see any of those benefits. So in essence, your mother has completely ruined marriage for you. You don't have a positive thought about it because your mom ruined it for you. You think it's going to be somebody who acts like her and put you through all the things that she put you through. So by the time you do get your freedom, you want it so bad that you never want to give it up. And I think there's a lot of son husbands out there who suffer because of that. Plus, on top of that, you didn't have a male influence in your house. So you don't really know how to problem solve correctly. You don't know how to think things through logically. You don't know how to practice stoicism like most men should be able to practice. So there's all kinds of disadvantages with this son husband thing.
Yeah, you know, I just connected these. The reason why a lot of men have to talk to women in a certain, you know, childish or, you know, a completely different way is because a lot of them are raised by their moms. And then the majority of teachers are women. And so they're always telling you to how to talk to people, you know, talk about your feelings and talk about like, you know, what you're, you know, how to treat women, but they're never talking to you. I mean, they only say that they say it in general, but men don't operate like that. Men don't talk to each other like that. Men don't say like, hey, here, my feelings are hurt because of, you know, X, Y, Z or blah, blah. Men don't talk like that, but that actually makes sense though, now that why we have so many men that actually do it because they're already Simpson training for the most part.
Pretty much.
Or son husbands in training. But anyways, I want to share this. I want to share this screen real quick though. It's our favorite son husband, Jaden Daniels. Now, this looks like I think it's for, I forget the player, Acho, Ichu, or I forget the player's wedding he's at. All right, this obviously Jaden Daniels. A lot of young people here. Having fun. Enjoying. Hey. Is that Juju? Is that Juju right there?
That is, oh man.
Is that Juju?
All right.
Oh, that ain't Juju.
You may be convincing me to come over to the dark side on this one. I'm
Hey. You sure that ain't Juju? I feel like that's Juju right there.
You might be convincing me to change my argument on this.
I don't know.
Is he the my mom is my best friend ninjas?
He might be. He might be. Oh, it was Brandu Ayuk, whatever that guy's name is. Yeah, he was at
Oh
his wedding.
man,
So yeah.
man.
So back to the
I,
son husband thing.
I was
I
neutral about it before, but I think you might. Oh man, you might be right.
this look. I understand you. You might maybe you might bring your agent with you because that's his agent technically. I just understand.
To a wedding?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a business move. Like I can give the business side. I can make you can make a business out of it. I just don't understand if it's not for business. Why are you there? She who else is going to sign? Who else is saying like, "Hey, Jaden, I want your mom to be my agent." Nobody's saying that. So it's not for business. So what is she doing there? I don't get it, man. This is this is wild
Yeah.
to me, and it's definitely son husband in training because I don't ever see her. I mean, and she does have a fiance or a boyfriend or something. I don't ever see no pictures of her and that dude. It's always when Jaden is in the screen, his mom ain't too far from it. And so, and we just talked about the whole Juju situation again. I think they kind of look alike, but we just talked about that, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look, and it's one of those things that's going to turn those storylines like why black boys need their moms or whatever. If Jaden Daniels hadn't turned into who he is, I mean, we would never hear about his mom. His mom would never have a footnote in history. But because Jaden Daniels is who he is, his mom is getting all this crazy praise, and it's unhealthy at that though, because I don't care what anybody says. Like you're not supposed to be hanging out with your mom at this wedding unless it's like a family friend or something. I understand that, but she don't know anybody there like that. This is Jaden's time to like have fun, cut loose, and relax a little. You can't be doing that when your mom. I mean, here's the thing: if his
And
mom was
go
like,
strike up a conversation with a young lady.
yeah. And if his mom was like at the bar or somewhere else, okay, fine. Then she's there, but she's not trying to be all up in the picture. Why is this the picture that goes viral? Why is this the video that goes viral? Because she's trying to glam off of his shine. And she's also like, again, just trying to make it seem like it's normal to be a son husband. It's not. Like usually most men grow out of it, but Jane
You
Daniels
think that's the only reason why that went viral? You don't think the fact that she's an attractive woman has nothing to do with it at
hey,
all?
look, I get that she's she could pass as Juju's mom, but it stops right there though. It's just one of those things where she's crossing the line. She's just a little too involved. Just be the agent. What's so hard about just being the agent? You don't have to be seen. Like I know who Rich Paul is, and I barely see Rich Paul trending. And Rich Paul is like the most I've seen Rich Paul is when he got with what's her face, Adele. That's the most I ever see of Rich Paul when he got with Adele. And then most of the time, I don't even see Rich Paul around. He doesn't take all these pictures. He's not big on social media like that. He's in the background, just doing deals, making deals. That's what he does. And then I forgot to tell you the other guy who was a Rosenhaus, Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah, Drew Rosenhaus.
I barely know what that guy looks like, but when it comes to her, we know exactly who she is, what she looks like, and yeah, she's trending, but this is bad for Jaden, and it speaks to the whole point about women single moms treating their or treating their sons or giving that love to their sons, and I think it's more of a black thing, honestly, because what I see on the white side is that they do it with dogs or pets. So that love that they would give towards a man, they do it with dogs and pets. I mean, both sides like animals and everything, but when it comes to like, replacing that love that you would have for another human, it gets transferred to their pets, is what I've seen happen most of the time. Because quite frankly, honestly, I know a lot of white guys that have cussed their moms out.
Yeah. The black thing is interesting because if we're being completely honest, our community is matriarchal. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the only
Can't-
ones that
can't
is,
go
and it
against mama.
shows. It shows, man. Like, and I'm not being disrespectful when I say this, but y'all raised these ninjas that y'all complaining about
Yeah.
in the dating market. Y'all collectively raised them.
Yep.
Yeah, and say what you want to. You've been the head of the house. So
Yep.
it falls on you. And that's what most men understand that y'all don't. I know that I'm the head of my house, and most things, if they go wrong, that falls on me.
Yeah.
But I had to figure this out on my own because I was raised by mostly women too. So I had to take my own manhood journey and click up with the right mentors and read the right books, talk to the right people. But every man doesn't figure that out until it's way too late. So now you got a bunch of over emotional, not able to problem solve dudes running around that can't deal with any real problems. The only
Yeah.
thing they know how to do is lash out in violence because that's their only escape.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
telling you, you got to grow out of that. You got to learn how to problem solve stuff with your words and your mind.
yeah. And we are actually seeing that happen with a couple high profile cases where men have lashed out. Like, I know people got upset when, and I'll just talk about this briefly. I know men got upset when they saw, black men in particular got upset when they saw Matt Walsh say young black men are pretty dangerous, or I'm paraphrasing, but he said something about young black men being very dangerous. And to some point, I understand why he's saying that. I understand why people are upset that he said that, though. But, considering some of the things that have occurred when it comes to like problem solving, and then you get into an argument, and then instead of like just walking away or just, fisticuffs, it turns deadly. And it's a bit unfortunate, though, because you not only lose the person that lost their life, but typically the person that took the life is going to lose their life. And both people have lost their sons or their daughters, because we're starting to see, I don't think I've ever saw so much violence from women occur until like in the last 5 years. Because and maybe it's always been occurring, but when it's trending, it's just some really weird shit, though, because I'm not used to like seeing women just battle it out. Sometimes they're battling against men. Like, that makes no sense to me. And
It's nothing new to me, TR. So I have a cousin, and she beats on her child's father. Like, there's no other way to describe it. To the point where one of my other cousins, who's known for fighting, told her, if he hits you back, I'm not doing anything, because he saw firsthand the disrespect. I'm
Yeah.
talking about close-handed fist, spitting on him, kicking him. Mind you, this is the father of her children,
They don't
and they're
care.
married. It's just like, whoa,
Most don't care.
what are we doing here? But the women and abuse thing is kind of the unspoken conversation, because they're typically viewed as the weaker vessels. But you can find tons and tons of footage of women, and it doesn't have to be physical. It could be verbal abuse. It could be mental abuse. They could abuse you by withholding sex from you if you're married. That's a form of abuse, because they use it as manipulation.
Yep.
So there's all types of abuse, and men just gotta become men again and realize, like, hey, you playing me right now, but I'm not the one. But without proper men leading them and guiding them to manhood, this is going to continue to be a problem.
Yeah. And people are going to be looking out for outlets such as the subreddit, the marriage group and the dating group. Because there's some interesting conversations that occur, but man, y'all, oh man, it's terrible. The dead bedrooms and all that stuff, though. So yeah, men are definitely hurting. But at the end of the day, men have to decide, what type of life they're going to want. Because a woman can decide, the wife can just say, hey, you know what, this isn't working for me. Or I've been feeling like I've been wanting to divorce you for the last 5 years, but still stayed in the marriage. And then they finally leave. But men, there's some sense of, I guess, embarrassment if it happens to you. Like, no, sometimes you do have to leave a marriage if the woman is being disrespectful, or it's a dead bedroom situation. That's not your cross to bear. That you shouldn't have to deal with stuff like that. But men, they deal with it until the woman files those papers, and they're like, I don't know what happened. Like, I was reading another story. I was reading a story where a woman had cheated, and the guy was, I don't know what I should do. And everybody's like, what do you mean you think you should do? At least I can say when it comes to stuff like that, people are pretty direct about what you should do versus trying to sugarcoat and be nice about it. But I don't know. There's something about men in general that need to start understanding that, hey, if you're not being treated correctly in your relationship, there's nothing wrong with leaving, and then don't fall for the tricks of like, hey, I'm going to give you some candy and, hopefully we can, look past it. No, it'll happen again. It always happens again.
I always say sex ain't an apology, and neither is the sloppy toppy. That's not an apology. Of course, she
Yeah.
probably gonna take it if she's offering, but don't for a minute think that that's an apology. You need to hold her accountable to what she did or said. That's what
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, hopefully, I actually, honestly, what were we just talking about? Were we talking about son husbands?
We went from son husbands to this pivot. Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to figure out how do we, how do we get back to the original topic
Well,
or
we
what?
started there and we talked about how our community is matriarchal and
Oh, yeah.
under a woman's leadership. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah. I was about to call it
women
back
can't
to
raise
David.
men. They think they can, but they can't.
Yeah.
At best, you can teach him how to treat a woman. That's about it. But a man has to be taught by another man. It doesn't
Yeah.
work any other way.
Yeah, no, that's a 1,000% true. And also, I guess for Jaden, he's gonna live his life and do whatever he wants, blah blah blah. But this could end bad though. And just like the whole thing with Eli Apple and his mom, I think this will be bad. You know, your mom should never be going viral. I think your mom can, show up in a couple pictures, like by her house, by her car. And even if she's your agent, I mean, I don't think they should be going viral. Lamar Jackson, his mom is his agent, still his agent, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what she even looks like, and that's what I think that's how it should be. Most of the time, I don't think we should know what your wife looks like, what your kids look like. I guess you can post it, but again, most of these folks aren't active on social media like that, though. But in this case, she's all over the place. She's always trending, and I think that's just bad for business ultimately, though. But time will tell.
The fact that you even said that she has a fiance and he's not posted up with her, that's it's a little odd, but it is
Yeah.
what it is, I guess.
All right. Last topic.